Hey, we're Shannon and Jerry Arner, hosts of the Arner Adventures podcast.
We're a minimalist couple choosing a more intentional way of living, one decision at a time.
After burning out from the nonstop grind of running our business, we realized adventure doesn't have to look loud, expensive, or extreme to matter.
Sometimes it looks like letting go, starting over, asking harder questions, or figuring things out as you move along.
We discuss life's challenges, the small shifts that change everything, and the everyday choices that help us live with less physical clutter and mental noise.
You'll hear honest conversations, thoughtful stories, and reminders that a meaningful life is built in the in-between moments, not just the highlight reel.
This is the Arner Adventures podcast, where life itself is the adventure.
Hello out there in podcast land. We got a new one coming at you. I'm Jerry.
And I'm Shannon.
Why having too many options is making your life harder?
Yeah, you're just getting right into it.
I am.
No banter.
Uh-huh.
No pre-chat. We're just getting right into it.
Getting right to the point. Well, because I think a lot of people, I think a majority of our people have that question running through their head. So why not address it?
Okay, yeah. You're right. Let's not even tell them why we're talking about it. Let's just go ahead and get into it.
Well, give them the hook right away. You know?
Oh my gosh.
Like a good pop song. You want the hook.
Well, first of all, thank you for being here out there in podcast land. And yes, today we are talking about why having too many options is making your life harder.
Yeah,
we really get into that whole decision fatigue thing.
Yep.
Yeah. I've talked about this before where sometimes if there's a lot going on and you'll ask me, what are we having for dinner? I think I'm going to scream. It's like, I don't know. I just don't want to make the decision, So it's kind of like that, why sometimes having so many options can seem overwhelming.
Let's back up a step. Sometimes you do scream.
That's true. That's true. Okay, well.
We're still on the air.
Yeah. I am thinking about something that I want to talk about, and I don't know if I've talked about this before in another episode, but their fellow Golden Girls fans will know what I'm talking about. There's an episode of Golden Girls where Stan's cousin comes over from Russia. And
well, now explain who Stan is.
Oh, okay. So Stan is Dorothy Zbornak, one of the main Golden Girls. I can't even believe if I have to explain that. You probably don't need to be tuning into our podcast. But Dorothy's ex-husband is Stan.
Okay.
All right. Stan Zbornak's cousin from Russia. Now, I don't know why that they just needed to do this for the show. Okay. But she comes over. I don't remember her name, but she comes over and for some reason she has to stay with Dorothy. That's weird too, but it has to happen for the show. So Dorothy takes her to the grocery store and the cousin is like, Dorothy, why all these cereals? It just makes people confused. Just give them 1 to 2 options because, in America, we have thousands of options for cereal.
Yep.
So I'm not saying we need to be like Russia and not have any choices, right? I like to have the freedom of choice. But sometimes having a lot of decisions and choices to make can be overwhelming. Right? That's kind of what we're going for here.
Well, definitely. You're right about that. And if it's something like cereal that you've been doing for a long time, I've narrowed it down to Honey Nut Cheerios and Raisin Bran.
Raisin Bran Crunch.
Or Raisin Bran Crunch. Yeah,
there's
option,
that's probably 3.
There's option A and B. Well, there's 1A and B. That's Raisin Bran Crunch. And there's 2 is Honey Nut Cheerios. It's 2 options, but with a little variation.
Yeah.
On a Raisin Bran.
We should take a second and just explain to you that Jerry is still suffering from the pollen stuff.
Yeah, still suffering from the pollen.
Okay. Let's move on.
Yeah. We don't always stick to the same products. But this is one we've actually kept.
It's Danodan, and Danodan is a whole hemp wellness brand that's just become part of our everyday for a while now, especially when life gets a little chaotic or we're traveling more.
It's simple. A few pumps into whatever we're drinking, and that's it.
We like that it's made from whole hemp flower and doesn't feel overly processed. It just fits into what we're already doing.
And for me, their salve has been clutch. When I tweak my knee biking, I'll use it right on that spot and keep it moving.
And the salve is a twist up stick, so it's easy to use, no mess, and it smells really clean and fresh. I've actually used it on my hands in the winter too.
Especially after being outside all day. It's one of those things we keep within reach.
If you want to check out Danodan for yourself, head to arneradventures.com/Danodan and use the code ADVENTURE to save 20% off.
Simple, easy, and it fits into real life.
All right, so look, more choices, more freedom, more control. That's what it's supposed to feel like, but it doesn't all the time. It can feel like you're always searching for the right choice. And so that's kind of how we're going to get into this, why having too many options seems overwhelming.
Well, it's not really about the options themselves. It's about what comes with the options. Every option, means another decision. More decisions is more time spent,
Oh my gosh, I
more
know.
mental strain. Another thing to think through, another chance to second guess oneself. So instead of feeling free, you can often feel stuck. It's the paradox of choice, coined by American psychologist Barry Schwartz. Schwartz says that having too many options often leads to negative outcomes like self-blame, decision fatigue, and overall stress.
Yeah, that's kind of why I think it's really helpful. It is for me at least to have, like, for your day-to-day routines, to have systems in place because you don't have to think about what you're going to do a lot of the times. It's just done. It's a lot like when you have your clothes laid out the night before. You don't have to think about it the next day, so it's less mental stress. You just put it on and go. I do think that creative juices and things like that flowing is really good. I like to think things through, of course, but when you have a lot of stress during your day and a lot of things going on, one less decision can make a big difference.
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
So when this happens and you have so many options and you have so many things going on, you spend more time deciding than doing. When there's too many options, you don't move faster. You slow down, you go back and forth, you compare, you think about the things that you might regret. You end up spending more time deciding than actually doing.
That's right. Yeah, you start looking for the perfect choice. More options make it feel like there has to be a perfect answer. And that's something to keep in mind. I don't always think about that, but if you just think about it long enough, you'll find the best possible choice. And it seldom is that. You just sort of say, "Uh-oh, I'm late for something. I gotta."
Yeah.
Yeah, but most of the time that doesn't really exist. You just got to settle on something. There are just different options with different outcomes.
That's right. And you second guess yourself more. So even after you choose something, it doesn't always feel settled because you know what the other options were. So that part of your brain keeps going back to them. What if I would have done this differently? Wondering if you picked the wrong thing. That happens to me a whole lot. And I keep that record player just going and going, and I can then change the routes. And what if I would have done this? Or should that have been better? But really, when it comes down to it, you didn't. You made the decision you made, or you're going to make the decision you make, and just move forward with that,
Yeah. It shows up in small, everyday ways. There isn't just big life decisions. It's the small stuff too. What to buy, what to wear, what to eat, what to work on first. When there are too many options, even simple decisions start to feel heavier than they should.
Yeah, and like I'll compare it again to, the traditional work day. We're a little bit different, right? Because we're working from home and we make our own schedule. But I have sort of a regimented list of things that I do each day. And the reason I have that is because I've noticed when I don't, I get stuck and just sit there. And I'm like, I don't even know what to prioritize. I don't know what is more important right now because it's too overwhelming.
Yeah.
It's like, it's just, I need the simplicity and I need it to just be spelled out. These are the tasks I need to do and move forward. So fewer options can actually feel better. That's the part that feels a little bit backwards. But when you have fewer options, things feel easier, not because you're missing out, but because you're not constantly deciding. You're just moving forward. You pick something and you go. And that feels a lot lighter, especially once you start getting into that way of life.
Yeah, when you jump into your morning activities too, the more you see, the more stimulating it gets. And I think the stimulation kind of builds for a while, the more it is. So if you do have things mapped out for yourself to reduce that stimulation, you know what you're doing. You're just kind of bam, bam, bam.
Yeah.
Checking off the list. You're in better shape then.
That's true.
Yeah. You're going to start trusting yourself more when you're not encircled by countless choices. You stop overthinking every decision. You make a call and you move on. And over time, you trust your intuition more because you're not constantly doubting every step.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's not about having no options. I just want to make sure I repeat that again. It's not about, Stan's cousin who comes from Russia.
Uh-huh.
It's not about that. It isn't about limitations. It's about noticing when too many choices are making things harder than they need to be, and then pulling it back a little.
You have to have some options. I'm not going to decide between Raisin Bran and Honey Nut Cheerios. I'm going to have both as an option.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And number one, of course, A and B, Raisin Bran or Raisin Bran Crunch. I'm going to keep those. I'm going to have some options.
It is nice to have options.
Yeah, but it's about balance. You're not having too many, but having some.
Yeah.
So where does this show up most? Well, we just talked about in the cereal aisle. Also in clothes, work, daily routines, even how you spend your time. Those are the places where fewer options can make the biggest difference.
Oh man, it really does. And that noise that is in your brain, it gets quieter. When you remove some of those things, it just feels calmer. Uh-huh. You're not constantly weighing every possibility and then mapping out which ways those things can go. You just live your day. So the real benefit is this. By choosing to limit your options, you feel lighter, clearer, and more satisfying. And it just reduces decision fatigue. It makes things, it takes that mental load and just lightens it for you and makes things just so much easier.
It does. I got to agree. In my case, less decisions has eliminated some of the noise in my brain along with a little medication too. But that's
true. Same.
Yeah. But getting back to the subject at hand, yes, less decisions will you have to makes your day flow along a little bit easier.
Yeah. So before we leave, we just want to thank you for making the decision to listen to us today. We're glad you're here.
See you next week. If this episode resonated with you or you know someone who might need to hear it, feel free to share it along. That truly means a lot to us.
You can also support the podcast by leaving a 5-star review or rating on the platform you're listening on. It helps more than you probably realize.
Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss future episodes. You can always find us, the show notes, and the brands that support the podcast at WarnerAdventures.com.
Until next time, here's to the small adventures, the hard ones, and everything in between.
Bye-bye.